Yo, it's your boy, Rico Slade. I'm here with my man, Nico. What's good with you, man? You gonna make it today?
I'm gonna make it
I'm
today.
glad you're gonna make it today. I'm
It's gonna
glad
be
you're
a
gonna.
good podcast.
I was worried about you. Okay, I was worried about you a little bit.
Warriors don't get defeated.
Warriors don't get defeated. That's a good way to go about it. All right, cool. Let's jump right in. So, since you didn't let me kind of give you a preface before we jump in, I'm gonna just go ahead and give it to you straight
Just
up.
make it more natural for the viewers.
That's right. Make it more natural for the viewers. We are going to talk about fear. We're going to talk about the idea of fear. Okay. Now, the question I want to propose to you in regards, because you know what you have an idea what you're afraid of, right? And the things that circumstantially and situationally we can be afraid of. What I wanted to ask you, and then you could just kind of chime in about other fearful aspects, is do you believe a person can identify what they're afraid of, whether it be something that they have a fear of just in general, or in a situational aspect, something fearful comes about? And do you think a person can literally decide, or do we have the power to basically decide, I am no longer going to be fearful at this moment, and I'm going to just dive right ahead and just execute regardless of my fear? Do you think that if everything that we're afraid of, do we have the capability to just say, you know what, though I might be afraid, I'm going to stop being fearful right this moment and just do what I got to do and execute in every situation?
No, you don't decide. You stop being fearful. You decide to not let it control you or interfere in your decision making. But you're still afraid.
Okay, but still
So,
afraid.
like for example, I'm really afraid of heights.
Okay.
But on my 21st birthday, I wanted to what do you call it, skydive,
Okay.
because I didn't want to let it control me. I was still very scared. Did it anyways.
But you still made the decision to do something that you're afraid of. You still execute it.
Do something I'm afraid of, but I'm just as afraid of.
Okay, fair
as
enough.
afraid of it.
All right, and I guess we would consider that as
That's more
bravery, courage
Exactly.
in the
Because
face of
if
fear.
you do
Okay.
something you're not afraid of, then you're not really brave.
Okay.
That's kind of how I see it.
Okay. So like let's apply that to saying changing a lifestyle, starting a new degree, moving to another city. Those attributes have fearful aspects to it. Afraid to do the change. Change brings about a fear, but it also can be an inviting, aspect to better your life. Do you think in those conditions that while you are afraid, like you said, you can be courageous? Should you find yourself putting yourself consistently in a mindset that I know I'm afraid, but I'm going to choose at this moment to execute regardless, because I want to achieve this goal. I want to achieve this end. Still fearful, but I'm going to achieve this end. Do you think that? Do you think
I
that would be?
Yeah, because the more you do it,
Mm-hmm.
the easier it'll get.
Okay.
Being comfortable, feeling uncomfortable, because that's really how you grow, and some people get it.
Okay.
So if you move from here, you go to a new school, you go to get a new job, hey, I gotta do it, and I've done it. I've been in this situation before, whatever that is.
Okay.
I want to overcome this challenge that I can decide to not take.
True.
Because I'm afraid, but I'll do it anyways.
All right. Let me ask you this: Is there situations where fear is good or beneficial?
I mean, technically, yeah.
Okay.
Because you should be afraid of, carrying a bunch of jewelry in the hood at 11 p.m.
All right. So it's situational. Okay.
Yeah, situational.
All right.
That's more of an evolutionary thing. But yeah, technically, yeah. But you shouldn't really let it control you. Also, if you're not afraid of anything, that's just straight up dangerous.
It can be dangerous. All right. So all right. So fearful, because I've seen creatures that or you can actually remove fear from a creature. And I saw these studies when they took a fear gene out of a mouse, and what happened was the mouse was not afraid of the cat, and because the mouse wasn't afraid of the cat, it didn't give off a pheromone that would tell the cat that this is prey. So the cat and the mouse had normal interaction with each other because there was no free fear dynamic there or fear catalyst there. So I've seen individuals
trigger, right?
The trigger, right? So when I look at it from a psychological standpoint, yeah, fear creates caution and helps us gauge risk against ourselves. Like I said, you see a dog that's barking, you get fearful. That animal can probably tell that you're afraid, might see you as prey, but to say, okay, I'm gonna barrel through this and execute, it could make things worse. Whereas in certain situations, we have to overcome our fear because we might have to achieve a goal, whether that fear is, injury or dying or whatever, or suffering a loss, embarrassment, or what like that. Yeah. So I guess that's an aspect of looking at fear and that aspect as a positive. But in a lot of aspects, we can also see fear as like a boundary that could be a negative if we let fear linger too long.
Yeah, I mean, you shouldn't when it's something beneficial or potentially beneficial, you shouldn't let it take over you.
Fair.
Because then you're just gonna be stuck your whole life.
Okay.
But like we said, it's necessary to measure risk.
Yeah.
You don't want to walk with a bunch of jewelry in the hood at 11 p.m.
True.
But maybe you should, if things aren't going well where you're living right now, maybe you want to make a change and move to another city,
somewhere
try another job.
Yeah.
Maybe do something you've been nervous of doing, like, I don't know, maybe you've been in the banking industry and you want to, I don't know, sing, paint, I don't know, face it.
Okay.
That's what it's about.
All right, so you want to go from the banking industry, which is secure, and then say you want to follow your dream of being an artist.
Yeah.
There's a risk.
It's fearful.
And there's fearful of not being able to pay your,
exactly.
Pay your, okay.
But it's not going to kill you. You're not going to die. But if you're like, there's a bunch of sharks in here right now, let me just jump and take a few pictures just for the thrill of it, and now that's dumb. So there's certain, does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
You need fear. You need fear
certain gauge
for you to live past 10 years old.
Yeah.
So you need to, fear is important. It's just that people don't see it that way, but it is important.
Yeah, I guess so. In regard, well, humans, we utilize fear to create contingencies and safety measures and whatnot to, like I said, minimize risk, and maximize opportunities. I look at creatures that, they're always in situations that are dangerous, or say there's prey versus predator situations. And, it takes a lot of time for certain animals to respond and understand trust, because trust comes a lot of assets when it comes to being fearful. We as human beings, we create systems and contingencies that we could put our trust in. So that's why we would go from a fearful situation of, say, a market or dealing with a bank or all these different things, your cryptocurrency, there's a fear of anything to invest in anything, whether it's invest your time, invest your efforts, invest your physical body into these things. There's a fear that says, oh, what happens? What's the outcome? Suffer loss or suffer pain. But there's also a gain or what's the outcome of those aspects? Does it offset, or does it validate facing the fear, or maybe, exposing yourself to maybe pain or loss to see a better outcome, whether it be a lesson or a gain in that regard? So.
Yeah, exactly. So fear is more important than people think, because at the end of the day, if you go through life without being fearful of anything or having to overcome anything that was fearful, then
it's hard for you to gauge. Yeah, it's hard for you to relate.
What's the point?
True. Okay.
How do you grow? How do you have fun? How do you get to the next level? You need to feel it and overcome it.
Yeah. You say fearful of heights. All right. Do you have anything about? All right. Is there anything you fear that you know is irrational? Like, I don't know why I'm afraid of this thing.
Like, for example, this cup spilling all over the carpet. My fear went away. See, I was afraid of something and I faced it. Okay. Now I'm not afraid of it.
Okay, you're not worried about that. Yeah. Thank you for because I wouldn't want it to happen either.
No, exactly.
There we go. Is there any irrational fear that you have that you acknowledge, that you're aware of, that you say, oh man, I know I shouldn't be afraid in this situation, but you say that you would be afraid, that you'd be afraid of?
Like, you shouldn't be afraid, but you are?
Mm-hmm.
I guess my regular OCD at night when I go to sleep.
Okay.
And I think the door isn't locked. And
the
car isn't locked. So I just do it like 5 times.
So you make sure,
and
okay.
I go back to the
So
door and check
so
it
you have
and
so there's a fear of
like I
not
know I
being,
did it. Yeah.
you know you did, but there's a fear of not feeling secure.
Yeah.
Okay,
exactly.
fair.
Maybe it has to do with the neighborhood I live in too. It's not so
They-
much just the OCD.
Yeah, and you've learned
Not
in that
just the
situation.
OCD.
You
I've
learned that
learned the hard
situation.
way.
Fair. I think for me, the only I well not maybe a rational fear. Like I've had encounters with dogs and such situation like that. I've always thought about like if I was stranded at sea, like in that deep water, and learning about certain aspects like that, and or if I was
You mean of that happening, or what will happen if you're in that situation?
like irrational, like I don't see myself in that situation, but
Yeah,
to be
how?
fearful of it. Yeah, the type
Okay,
of like
okay.
situation. Like I think the only time but I don't know. I don't know if I have any irrational fears. Like I'm afraid of something when I shouldn't be afraid. But there's certain things that I'm like I say. If I'm fearful of, like I'm fearful of failure. I'm fearful of failure that I can't recover from. That's only like that's the ones like I've
Yeah, but
experienced
that's
failure.
everybody.
That's everybody. But a fearful failure that you can't recover from. That's I guess you're right, because I was like, oh, there's a certain feel aspects of I feel like, oh man, I failed or I've not achieved. I'm like, oh, okay, because people gauge their lives based on the thing that they achieve. But a lot of times I was like, man, I don't want to get to a certain point in my life where I look at the span of my life and I failed more than I was able to say win or say to accomplish, and feel like, man, I've gone so far. There's no making up ground, and now I'm just locked in failure. There's that, or the fear of being forgotten. It's so weird. I was looking at this thing a long time ago with Batman and Joker, and it was like, okay, they showcase one of Joker's greatest fears is not being relevant. And that's why he's always doing what he's doing to try to do no matter what he's doing. The Joker's always trying to go about always being relevant to just the public. But as long as he has Batman's attention, he's always relevant, because he has a death fear of not ever, not mattering or being forgotten or not being relevant. And I see that being a big fear for a lot of people, especially now in the social media era. That a lot of
that
people,
like kind of like an attention thing?
It's part of an attention aspect.
It has to do with attention seeking.
Attention seeking, but think about it, the adverse of that. A lot of people have fear of not being relevant or being valued or being important. Because how can you can do
I haven't
things
felt that, but I maybe to specific people,
to specific
but
people.
I don't like to everyone in general. No, I don't really
think about it. Who wants to get to the end of their life? Who wants to get to the end of their life? Get old, or get to your get to an elderly point where we're starting to retire, and no one's really concerned about you. No one's really thinking about you. If you were to go to your deathbed right now and be like, no one would be here to look over me. No one would be here to bury me or cremate me or my legacy. There's no legacy. I think a lot of people fear that, and I think the way that
I think everybody. Go ahead.
Because of our impact. I think now, we understand that there's children and there's legacy and there's things you can achieve out, but those are traditional things. I think now with the digital footprint, I think a lot of people are saying, I want to going viral. I want to do something that I can supposedly in my mind control, that I will live on forever, no matter if I do anything else. I don't have to have children. I don't have to be a Nobel Peace Prize winner. I don't have to be the make partner at the job. I can do this thing that's very low entry, and I can live on. If I become a meme, I'm going to live on forever. I think that's a way of people want to always have notoriety or be relevant. But think about all those people who are not going for that. Think about all the people who they have a real fear of you going to be forgotten. You're going to be forgotten. Forget the masses. But even those around your circle are going to fall off, and you're going to be forgotten. That's when you start really seeing your mortality.
I think people who actually have that fear, they try to act on it, and they wouldn't allow that to happen.
And a lot of
people don't. The best way for you to, be about to die, and then nobody's going to cremate you or be at your funeral or like anything like that. Well, the funeral will probably be filled with people, but will be right there with you as you're dying. I feel like it's because they pushed everyone away.
All right. I'll tell you this.
They don't wanna die. They don't want to go out like that.
True. Nobody,
but they didn't really think of that plan and just kind of let it go and just. Does that kind of make sense?
I feel like you dictate your life, and if that's a fear of yours, you can orchestrate things to offset that. You can live a fulfilling life. If you live a fulfilling life, and at the end of your life, that's what happens, and that's the card you're dealt. So long as you can reflect on your life and it offsets that fear of, whether or not I'm remembered or not is one thing, but I remember and I lived a full life.
Yeah.
But in the nature of what I do for my work, I realize there's a lot of people that, and even recently, I'm the last person they make a connection with. And I get those conversations that they don't outright come out.
But it still is a professional connection. It's
not, but a
intimate.
Lot of people, nah, man. Some people come and what they do is they try to brace that connection with me as best as they can, so that at least I remember them. And that's how a lot of people, for whether you believe metaphysical or not, how you achieve mortality is to be in the memories of someone else, to be carried on. And I've had clients that I've dealt with that passed away, and I know more often than not, when me working with them, a lot of them try to make a real strong connection with me. They'll call me every day, and just to, because they know once they realize their mortality, once they really have an idea of the clock, the sands are running out, they try to make the best connection with someone to say, whether it's consciously or subconsciously, I'm fearful. I'm afraid of dying at this point because I'm at the door. Maybe I lived a full life, maybe I didn't, but they know that there might not be someone to carry on their memory of them. So they want to be in someone's memory, because you're going to go in somebody's file. They're going to be a death certificate. There's going to be all of that, but there's not going to be anybody who's going to remember, oh man, when I remembered so-and-so, he was this kind of person. That was that kind of person. I had a good encounter with them before they passed. Or to even say, oh man, so-and-so died, man, that was a good dude, man. She was a good person.
Yeah. A lot of people will probably say that anyway.
Yeah. And that's when we started to talk about regret, but that's the idea of the fear. So me personally, I want to offset the idea of the fear of failure and the fear of not having someone remember me. So I look at it part as one, being a father. It's one of those things that's in the back of my mind. But I've let go of that idea of not being remembered, because once you have a child, you have a biological conduit.
But even still, man, the people who do go out like that, now with all the ways you got to communicate, man, if no one's just there for you, it's because you pushed everyone away.
Yeah, or you didn't live your life focused.
That's how you wanted it.
You didn't live your life focused on building relationships, maintaining relationships, which is one of them things. Honestly, for me, that's one of those fears I have to get better on, because of how I've been living my life the last couple of years. It's basically just like maintaining good, interpersonal relationships. Looking at everything down the road, trying to be a good steward, good employee, good friend, good family member, good brother, good whatever. So, and I think some people master that and they're really well, and they have, a lot of people, but I've also seen people who have 1 million followers, and then when they pass on this earth, they die bankrupt, penniless, and no one really, they're remembered to a certain degree, but they don't have anybody close to them. Everybody remembers them as a shining star, but stars are far away. And I think they realize that. I think they realize that too. You said it's about quality?
Yeah, it's about quality, man. Mm-hmm. I know people who, for sure, they're not going to completely die alone, but you're going to have like maybe 3 people who are going to be there. Mm-hmm. But you really could have had like 10 or 15, especially when they're close family members.
True. Or you can have you have a funeral and there's 300 people there. But if you were alive,
go to the funeral.
Yeah, or if you were alive, you really realize that only 3 or 4 people are really there for you.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's what, and I think that's what a lot of people feel.
A lot of people go to those things just because they feel bad. That's True. Something as humans that we just try to avoid all the time. Just feeling bad. But sometimes you gotta feel bad, man. We're traipsing all off, but sometimes you gotta feel bad to offset so you can have the full range of cognitive emotion and being fearful counts as feeling bad.
Yeah, it's one because it's a feeling. It's a feeling. It's a catalyst of your outside stimulus, internal, gauging and whatnot. So
you need a little bit. You need a little bit of everything in your life.
You
need a little bit of fear in your life. You need a little bit of your daily watching of the Rico Nico video. Let us know in the comments down below what you guys think about fear, about dying alone, about pushing people away.
Do you have fear? Do you believe fear is something positive to you? To you rein in the negatives? Can you utilize fear to your advantage? Can you hunker down and literally say, I'm going to not be fearful of this thing I'm afraid of at this moment to execute?
Exactly. Okay. The answer is yes, you should.
Like, subscribe, share, comment. Make it so.
Yeah, share it with everybody else. It's okay.
Yeah, because if you ain't doing it, man, you're missing out.
Your ass is missing out.
Right, your ass.
Still PG-13 if we say that word. So
that's all right. Yeah. All right, Nico. Yay.